So here's a quick one, and I know what you guys are thinking. Where in the world are we? What does this place have to do with Alpha Dog? Well, actually, it's not so much the exterior that we're looking at, more so the interior. This house was actually the interior of Angela's house. When Sonny and Cosmo actually pull up, they pull up to a house that was used that I've yet to find for the exteriors, but the interiors of when they're speaking with Johnny, trying to get him to tell him where Zach is at, actually happened back here in this house. And I know this only because my source, my very reliable source, told me that this is the location that they used for the interiors of that scene. Otherwise, there is no way on earth anybody would have ever figured this out. But nevertheless, here we are, Angela's house. Well, the interiors at least. So here's a weird one. So right after the scene where Sonny, Cosmo, and the lawyer are trying to talk to Johnny to get Zach's whereabouts at the Holden house, we cut back to Zach in the truck with Elvis and Frankie. But then right after that scene, we cut over to Sonny again with Cosmo and Johnny standing outside of this shopping center, trying to convince him again as to where the whereabouts of Zach are. And I don't know why, but for some reason, they picked just some random strip mall to just try to get the information out of them. Why they chose it, no clue. But they end up here, and at the time, it was a lingerie store called Naughty by Night. And the only images that I could find of this place was from 2007 Google Maps. Other than that, this place does not exist. There are no photos of it other than that and Alpha Dog. But the signs were yellow, and they took up the place of where it says Eagle Russian and the plumbing electrical sign. Those two signs you can see behind Sonny as he grabs Johnny in anger. Right behind him, it's a little blurry, but you can definitely make out the yellow signage with the red lettering featured prominently because they're super lit up. This is at night, I forgot to mention. But yeah, you can definitely see them. And then where it says where it's the small eagle sign, that was a pizza spot. In the movie, it's super blurry, but if you look on Google Maps, you can definitely see that it was a pizza spot. But yeah, for some reason, they chose this shopping or strip mall for that scene. Who knows why, but they did. And well, here you go. So the shot we get is similar to this one right here. Of course, it was at night and those signs were lit up.
Nothing's gonna happen. These guys are such fuck-ups. Kid's probably loose right now.
Make the fucking call!
Oh, shit. That's my fault. Oh. So here's the result of eating shit here. The wind, of course, came by and knocked over the tripod. Not to mention that I also broke the little connector to the DJI audio, the mic, you know. But I mean, thankfully I had a spare, but that really sucks that this broke. And I can't even find the lightning part of it. But yeah, I ended up eating shit, so whatever. Anyway, let's get back to the filming location. So here we are, guys. We made it to Vasquez Rock Formation, and this place is absolutely beautiful. And of course, I don't have to tell you this, but this was the site of where Zach Mazurski's grave was dug and where he was ultimately killed by Elvis. I mean, if that wasn't plainly obvious. Now, funny thing about that scene, though, is that I don't know if any of you have ever noticed, but as soon as they get to the top of the hill, right after Frankie tells them, "Oh, don't worry, I am your boy," when we cut, we end up at the, we're led to believe that it was the top of the Vasquez Rock Formation, where in reality, that part where Zach actually gets shot was filmed in Santa Clarita. It's called Santa Clarita Studios. Now, but the beginning of the scene, of course, takes place here, and we get the shot that you can see from where the camera currently is. You can see the divide in the road where they come down on the left-hand side of that split in the road, and then they park right here where those rocks are now blocking.
What are we doing? Meeting somebody who's gonna take you home.
So this place probably should look familiar, and that's because it's been used in countless productions. The most notable one, of course, is Star Trek. We also have the Flintstones. Bedrock was actually right here, and I think Fred Flintstone's house was somewhere in that area because, of course, they want to feature the main part of the formation, naturally. Also, Austin Powers was filmed here too when he's running toward his Jaguar, or Shagwar, and he does the front flip, and then he ends up hitting his groin on the shifter. That also happens here at the Vasquez rock formation, which is pretty cool. So of course, this place is home to a bunch of television and film productions. And if you're interested, I highly, highly recommend and encourage that you look up anything on YouTube. There are plenty of creators out there, a lot of, creators that have gone out and come out here and shown, what has been filmed here. There's a bunch of cool stuff that even I probably don't even know. I've seen a few of the videos and they're absolutely fantastic, but I'm pretty sure there's gonna be plenty more things that I didn't even realize myself. But I do encourage you to go check it out because there's plenty of filming location videos on this particular location. But go ahead and be curious and look it up. But of course, the reason we're all here is because this is the trail that leads up to, or that led up to, Zach's grave. And the scene starts with them driving up from the road over here to my left, your right, of course. And they would have came up and parked right here in front of where these boulders now are. And a little speculation here, actually. And I think that the reason that they put these here, because they weren't here in the movie, I think that people were driving up their vehicles and parking right here because there's a pretty flat area. And I think they were using that to take pictures and videos. And I think whoever runs the park here or whatever probably got sick of that happening and just laid out these boulders here to stop that from, happening. But, that's just speculation. Anyway, like the scene starts and they do park here facing this direction. And you can see this rock, this boulder here that I'm sitting on as they're walking up the hills. They're getting out of the SUV and walking up the hill. The shot we get is obviously from up here, and you can see this formation while they're actually walking up. Now, as they're walking up, Zach starts talking to them about wanting to be nicer to his mom and respect his mom and showing admiration for her because she's the greatest person on earth. As that's happening, we have a couple hikers that are coming down near this rock formation. We got the two last witnesses walking down this way as they look over to the boys who are over here on their right-hand side. Now, as they're walking up, Keith kind of comes to the realization that he doesn't want any part of this, and rightfully so. So he then hugs Zach. He comes up to hug Zach, and Zach kind of thinks like, well, what's wrong with Keith? You're crying. What's up? Looks over to Frankie and sees the distress on his face and kind of pieces everything together like, man, maybe there's no one here to pick me up. Like, I think they're trying to like off me or kill me. And he does come to that realization. He does figure it out. So then Frankie tries to calm him down and starts comforting him as he walks him up the remainder of the hill. They get up to about this point with Frankie hugging Zach, I believe. And when they get here, that's when we get the cut and we end up by the gravesite itself, which of course was filmed in Santa Clarita Studios, as I mentioned earlier. And of course you can tell that because of the CGI windmills and the CGI sky. But nevertheless, here we are, Vasquez Rock Formation. And this is where the trail that led up to Zach's ultimate demise and I guess the climax of the movie all took place here. But yeah, there you go, Vasquez Rock Formation. So here we are outside of Pick's house, and trust me when I tell you that this was one of the hardest locations to find. Not only because the house itself and the neighbor's house has changed a little, quite a bit. Well, not too much, but enough that it kind of threw me off. But also, it's just some random neighborhood in the middle of the valley. But nevertheless, through perseverance and just, clever searching, I was able to find it. And here you go, Pick's house. So the first time we see this house is actually at night. And it's in the scene where Johnny and Elvis are coming over to borrow Pick's mom's SUV. Of course, to commit the murder, but they tell Pick, well, they don't tell him, but Pick kind of, oh, you're moving or something? And they go, yeah, something like that. So that's how they get a hold of Pick's SUV. The second time we see it is when, right after Susan confronts Frankie about the cops finding Zach's body, we cut over to a shot of Elvis kind of doing a light jog from this side of the sidewalk coming up. And he ends up right here as Pick comes out kind of preemptively and kind of stopping Elvis in his tracks. Now, of course, he's furious at Elvis and furious at Johnny because they lied to him, and then they kind of like implicated him in a way. Like they made him kind of an accessory after the fact, kind of not really, but of course he's pissed, and Elvis is just begging for his help. But of course, Pick's not having any of it. So then we get the cops coming from this direction and this direction. Elvis sees it, takes off, and he jumps over what would have been a chain link fence at the time right here. And what I absolutely love is that they kept the continuity. And by that, I mean that when he jumps the fence, the scene where he gets arrested actually takes place on this side, which of course we're gonna go see right now in a minute. But I love that they kept that continuity. They didn't just jump to some other random part of the street or some random neighborhood where he would have, not been. So I think that's really awesome. But nevertheless, here we go. Let's try to line up some shots, and yeah, let's have some fun. Okay, so I completely spaced, and I wanted to show you how the house has changed, or the houses and the surrounding houses have changed since the movie beforehand, because there have been some quite substantial changes. For instance, Pick's house over here, you'll notice that the porch is now gone, but the biggest change from Pick's house is that there used to be a window and a mail slot right to the left of that door, which has since been taken off and then replaced. Well, I wouldn't say replaced, but the door has been moved a little bit to the left. Why they did that, I have no clue. But the neighbor over here has also made some changes. You can see the easement and the driveway is new. After they got rid of the chain link fence that Elvis jumps over, I guess they decided to add the easement and the driveway. And you can tell, obviously, that it's new relative to the surrounding concrete. Also, too, they added an extension to the house. Because in the movie, you can see that there are 4 windows that run flush. But of course, they did the extension to make way for probably another room or maybe a closet, I would think. I would think more a closet, if anything. Yeah, but the house behind me, or in front of Pick's house, has changed also slightly. This one a little less so. They now have a rock wall and a, I guess, what is it, wrought iron? Wrought iron fence, yeah, wrought iron fence, where there used to be chain link here. But what I love the most is that the house across the street that way has actually not changed at all. Check this out. So if you see the house there, you can see that the fence itself is the same. The gate is still there that leads to the backyard. You can see the pitch of the roof, and then there's 2, I guess, exhaust pipes, or one of them is an exhaust pipe. The other looks like, what is it, what are they called? For the rain. I forgot, I'm spacing right now. But yeah, one of the, for the rain anyway. So you can definitely still make those out in the movie when the cop is pulling up, rounding this corner right here, which is pretty awesome that the house still looks the same. We can at least make something out from the movie. But yeah, just wanted to point that out to just kind of give you guys an idea of what has changed and what hasn't before we do the before and afters. Oh, I figured it out. It's called the gutter. The gutter. Oh yes, it came to me. Thank you. The gutter. So right after Elvis gets arrested outside of Pick's house, we fade into a shot of Johnny and Angela inside of a car dealership trying to trade his 1966 Impala for that piece of shit Buick. Of course, he's doing it to stay low key because of course everyone knows his car. But they end up here at what used to be called LA's Best. Now in the movie, you never actually see what the dealership is called, which led to a lot of, heartache trying to find this place. And turns out the answer was, I researched this so long, and it turns out the answer was actually on IMDb. Unbelievable. I was so upset. I was so happy when I found this place, and turns out it was on IMDb this whole time, the address and everything. Oh my goodness, you don't know what kind of a duh moment that was for me, but nevertheless we found it, and we're here at LA's Best, and of course somebody has to honk because they always do. Of course, because it's been 20 years since the movie was filmed, there are a whole bunch of notable changes to this place. The main one that I noticed right away was that the fence is now black instead of that really brilliant blue. Here, what I've noticed inside of the dealership itself is that this building used to be separated from the office and that garage by a little brick wall. And right behind Angela and Johnny, you can read where they painted the words financing available, like just of course a generic used car lot saying, I guess, just to sell the illusion of that they're at an actual car lot, which I guess in reality they were, but I guess they weren't trying to show any names or anything like that. So they just put some generic stuff. Like I said, you never really see the name of the business. As to why, I don't know.
Tico, Elvis, Nuts, 911. They got everybody.
Oh, for what?
What the fuck do you think, baby? That kid turned up dead.
Hey, the captain and Tennille.
One thing about that scene that always tripped me out is after he gets the Buick, he gets the Buick, right, to lay low, but then he hangs the right on Lancashire, doing the most ridiculous, why are you leaving like that? I thought you're trying to lay low. He's over here drifting, doing NASCAR evasive maneuvers out onto Lancashire, drawing all this attention to him. I don't understand that. You're supposed to be laying low, bro. Why are you making all this racket for? But yeah, that happens right here, just where that truck turned. That's where he would have made that ridiculous turn that's drawing all this attention to him. And you can see the, I believe it's Work Boot, that yellow building right there, Work Boot warehouse or something like that, I think. Yeah, it's Work Boot warehouse right behind him. And in the shot, they use some kind of lens that really warps the perspective, it crunches everything in apart from the car itself. It's a really weird shot. So that ridiculous turn happens right here onto Lancashire, and the camera would have been placed right in the middle of the street as he's making that turn. Of course, I'm not gonna step into the street because it's obviously busy. But yeah, that happens here, and of course you can see where it says Work Boot Warehouse. And that's how I actually found this location, before finding out that the address was readily available. I ended up just looking up things that had the word house in it with a yellow building, and somehow, some way I came across this. But yeah, Johnny and Angela would have made their ridiculous turn from right here onto Lancashire.
Pass me the 151 and coke cap. Then later we'll find what a dope at. Behold that.
So after Angela and Johnny trade in the Impala for the Buick, they come to the motel to hide out. Now, of course, we're led to believe in the movie that it is New Mexico that they're in at this point, but in reality, they're just here in the valley in Burbank. Now, why I call this filming location strange is because for some reason, I don't know why, they decided to use 3 different locations for this one scene. As to why, I have no clue. But the establishing shot leads us to believe that they're here at the Glen Capri Motel in Burbank. But the interiors, as far as I could see from my research, the interiors were shot at another motel. And I think it's called the Palm Inn, if I'm not mistaken. There's one called the Palm Inn, Palm Tree. There's so many like that. But I think it's called the Palm Inn. I'll put the name here somewhere. But yeah, so I was led to believe that the interiors were shot there. Now, when Johnny is leaving, after he throws a cigarette pack at Angela, as he's leaving, if you go frame by frame, you can see the exterior. Slightly, you can see the exterior of the motel that they're at. Now, I tried looking up older pictures of that motel in question, but I couldn't match anything up. It's just even older pictures, I couldn't find anything. So either IMDb is wrong, or possibly they did a revamp of the whole place and it just doesn't resemble the old one anymore, and there's no footage or pictures of it that I could find on the internet. But as far as I know, this was the that motel was the location for the interiors. We also get the scene where Johnny's coming back from the liquor store, and as he rounds the corner, he looks over and he sees Angela being arrested. Now that actually takes place in Torrance. And if for you guys who don't live here in LA, Torrance is all the way by Disneyland. I mean, it's far, it's by Long Beach. Matter of fact, I think you would reach Disneyland before you reach Torrance. So why they decided to do that, you got me. But now I have to go all the way to Torrance just for that single shot, which is, oh man, completely out of the way. Everything is here in the valley for the most part, except for the Palm Springs stuff, right? But man, I have to go all the way to Torrance just to get this one shot. So, man, I guess right after I film this, I'm gonna head that way. Well, I guess for you guys it'll be instantaneous, but for me it'll be probably tomorrow, if anything. But yeah, I have to go down to Torrance to get that shot of Angela being arrested. So why they made this decision to film in 3 different locations beats me, but they did. And one more thing about the Glen Capri. I know only one other movie that used this place. I'm pretty sure there's others, but the one that comes to mind is the Girl Next Door in 2004 with Emile Hirsch, funny enough. So there's 2 movies that feature Emile Hirsch that use the Glen Capri. And I think this is the scene where she brings him in to sleep with him for the first time or something like that, and then he refuses, and then she gets mad. Well, in the scene when she's leaving, upset, you can see them right behind this van. Of course, you can't see it now, but there's a staircase, and they're arguing. Well, he's chasing her while she's upset at him, while she's walking down this way toward us, and she comes down this alleyway and then makes her way that way. And I think there's a final shot of her walking down the alleyway with Emile Hirsch watching her from back there. But yeah, just a fun little fact about the Glen Capri. That, yeah, so we got 2 Emile Hirsch movies here for some reason, coincidentally. So yeah, there you go. Glen Capri Motel. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over the scene really quickly just to kind of orient ourselves a little bit here, because it does get a little confusing. So again, the establishing shot is at the Glen Capri Motel. But then when we cut over to Johnny and Angela laying in bed, those interiors were shot here in Torrance. Across the street from what is behind me is Bill's Liquor. Across the street from that on Pacific Coast Highway is Palm Motel. Now they use the Palm Motel for the interiors, and of course I'll get into that right now in a minute of how I know that those are the interiors. But so right after Johnny gets into the argument with Angela because he can't, perform, and he reaches for some cigarettes or whatever and then throws the carton at her, which I always find funny. I don't know why that's just so funny to me. But after he does that, we cut to him walking out of Bill's Liquor Store, hanging a right here on Pacific Coast Highway. And as he's doing that, we get shots, which I didn't get because I didn't realize they were there. We go back to where the Glen Capri Motel is at, and we get a shot of, I believe it's San Fernando Road, of the police, the authorities coming one way, and then on the other side of the street. So we have the Glen Capri in the middle, and we have a shot of the authorities coming from the right-hand side and the left-hand side. And then, for some reason, and I couldn't find this location, Johnny is standing outside of a church and outside of a market called New Market. I looked high and low, but I just couldn't find that location. But he's there, and he's seeing the police or the authorities pulling up. And then we cut back to the Palm Motel, and that's where Angela is actually being arrested and thrown into the car. Then Johnny is seen walking down the street, which I couldn't find. I assume it's outside of that church and the other market. And he's walking down. That's when he's hitchhiking to get to Buzz's house. But yeah, it's a little bit of a weird, like, I don't know why they constructed the scene that way, but they did, and well, here we are. And of course, we're gonna head that way in a bit, and I'm gonna try to line up some shots, and then I'm gonna explain to you how I know that the interiors were also shot here, along with, well, that exterior of Angela being arrested. But there you go, the hideout. So we finally made that 30-minute drive from Los Angeles here to Acton, California. And right behind me, right behind this fence is, or was, Buzz's house, which is, of course, the guy who ended up helping Johnny get to, I think it was the Mexican border, then the Canadian border, and then halfway back to the Mexican border, he decides that he doesn't want to do it again. And that's when Buzz gets a little frustrated with him and tells him, well, what do you want to do? Well, they end up ultimately going to Cosmo's house, where he drops off Johnny and then goes along his way. Now, the scene that we get, for some reason, they came all the way out here about 30 miles. It's about 30 miles, I think, from Los Angeles. And for some reason, they just, I don't know. I don't know why for a 20-second shot, they came all the way out here. And how they found this place, this particular place, who knows? Again, that is just I don't know. It's just, it always like boggles my mind when I find these places and I'm like, why here? It's like there's nothing around us. Like, surely you could have portrayed that scene anywhere and nobody would have questioned it. But I mean, nevertheless, we're here in Acton, California. Oh, not to mention that in the scene where it's said to be New Mexico, but nothing ever took place in New Mexico. It was all here in LA, or the Valley mostly, to be honest. But yeah, this is Buzz Fesky's house, and I think that's how you pronounce it. Fesky, I don't know, something like that. But we can't obviously get behind the gate, so what I'm gonna do is throw up the drone, and I'm gonna see if I can point out the shot where he was working on I think it's a Volkswagen that he's working on when Johnny walks up on him. So yeah, let's see what we can see with the drone.
Buzz, Johnny's here.
Johnny who? Yeah, it was unbelievable.
So here we are at the finale of the movie. There's only one scene that follows this one, but this is the last, I would say, prominent scene in the movie. Now, after Johnny has Buzz take him to Mexico, then to Canada, and then I guess he gets close to Mexico again before he decides, oh no, I don't want to go to Mexico. Well, Buzz gets fed up with him and tells him, look, bro, you need to decide something. I can't be doing this forever. And Johnny ultimately decides to come back to Cosmo's house, which is the house right behind me. So Buzz and Johnny would have been coming down in Buzz's truck from that side of the street, and they would have parked facing the wrong way, I might add. Right here where this Challenger's at, right in front of the Volkswagen is the Challenger, and that's where they would have parked facing the wrong way. Now in the shot behind Buzz, you can make out this house with the, it's like shiplapping, and it's like a cream colored shiplapping, and it's still the same color as it is in the movie. Not to mention that the mailbox they have was painted in the movie like some funky design, and you can still see the remnants of that design on that mailbox. Also too, when Johnny is speaking to Buzz, telling him, hey man, don't leave, stay here. Behind Johnny, you can see the house that's next to Cosmo's, and it also has that blue it has a shiplapping, but this one is blue. And it's, again, the same color that it's been for, I guess, what, 20 plus years? So yeah, that's cool, you know? I'm glad when things don't change, you know, when some things don't change, on filming locations at least. So right after Johnny gets dropped off by Buzz at Cosmo's house, we get a split screen as he's driving away of the guys getting arrested, and one of them is Tico, and he's sitting on his couch with his family when the cops bust in. Now, you can only see the house from the inside, but I actually found the location, which you would think is impossible because you're only given the you only see it from the interiors. But here it is right behind me. You can see the double doors that they break down, and while they break down the doors in the background for a split second, you can see this pole that's right behind me along with the bushes that are behind it. So yeah, we found it, Tico's house. So for the finale of the movie, we end up here at Los Angeles Center Studios, or as the movie would lead you to believe, Paraguay. Now, I couldn't exactly pinpoint the exact spot where Johnny was walking, but right behind him, you can definitely see the building with those glass windows. That's how we know for sure that it is this particular location, which is located in downtown LA, had I not mentioned. But yeah, there you go, Johnny in Paraguay.